Welcome. It's RambleCast time. February 10th, new Android day. And I'm with Corbin.
Hello, I'm Corbin.
You are Corbin.
I am. I think. I know, it's been a long week. I'm not sure. I'm not sure anymore.
Honestly, at this stage, certainty is just a mistake.
It's been a week.
It has.
Some of it was surprising. Some of it wasn't. Um, in terms of not surprising stuff, was almost everything Samsung announced. So like I don't have a whole lot to say about this because almost everything was leaked. I think really the only details that we didn't really know publicly before then was like some of the colors, because Samsung apparently wasn't very communicative about the colors that they were going to sell the phones in.
Yeah, they really weren't.
No. Like I don't think they like told anyone leading up to the announcement, I'm pretty sure, or very close to it. And the prices were still an unknown factor.
Okay, I'm actually gonna... This is a pointless, needless offset, but it suddenly occurs to me to say this. At this point, do the prices matter? And okay, stick with me on this for a second. Do the prices matter when every phone that comes out, with the specific exception of iPhones and probably Pixel phones, every other phone comes out and there's almost always a series of deals through carriers? They're like, buy it today and it's $300 off, or buy one get one free, or like I how many people do you think are even buying it at the price it's announced at anymore?
I think so. I think it's a not insignificant amount of people, just purely based on the observation that every time Samsung releases a phone, their website becomes unusable for several days. So yeah, it's at least enough people to overload the Raspberry Pi they have that runs the entire store.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, it's it's the same story every year of like people buy their stuff through carriers. Carriers do their own discounts and stuff. Samsung's trade-ins are basically ensure if you have something vaguely resembling a telephone, you can probably trade it in and get a pretty good discount on one of the new phones. Although they don't seem to be quite as good this year. At least I was looking at like the Ultra, because I was thinking possibly maybe of trading in my S21, just the normal one, for an S22 Ultra. But Samsung would only take $450 for it. So it's still, that would only cut the phone price in half. And I was like, I'm okay.
The weird thing is their trade-ins on their own phones with them directly, pretty mediocre. What I'm still trying to get over is the trade-in offer AT&T is doing, which, yay, it's AT&T, the carrier I actually get to make use of. Their deal is literally ridiculous. Any Samsung phone, well, okay, that's not true. It's any Galaxy phone, any Note phone, or any Z phone. So it's not like they're taking the cheap A phones or something. Mm-hmm. But any of those three basically flagship models, if you bring in any one from any year in history in quote unquote any condition, the example that I gave yesterday in Discord, bring in like an old Galaxy S, an original Galaxy S with a freaking bullet hole in it. Supposedly they will take it. And they will give $800. No questions asked. Or at least effectively no questions asked. Like, that is stupid. AT&T, why? Like, what deal? Who is cutting this deal that they can just
I know, that was
say, here, just have a phone. We don't care.
Yeah, that's me with most of Samsung's trade-in offers. Like, I get to the point where like this has to be like some weird form of money laundering at some point. I don't, or not money laundering, but like some weird tax loophole that one of these companies found. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, again, that's I'm not an economics major, so I don't need to figure this out for myself. Um, and obviously I think usually the catch with like a lot of the carrier stuff, at least the ones I've seen, is they always want you to make a new line um, um, or sign up for like one of the better plans. Like I remember, I think I was doing research for Daisy. Daisy doesn't like AT&T. But I think it was like the S21 launch. I remember doing pricing research for and checking all the trading values and stuff. And I think for that one, AT&T wanted like a new line for getting a good deal on one of the devices. But yeah, it's usually some, and at the end you also stuck with the carrier version, which has some amount of bloatware. Maybe one or two things are turned off that would be better if they were on, but yeah, I mean it's still close enough. And at least with Samsung devices, I'm not quite sure if this is across the board yet, but generally it seems like updates for the unlocked phones and the carrier phones are happen at around the same time now. That was historically one of the other downsides, is that there was now the extra step of the carrier approving every single update. And they still want to do that, but they've now assigned more than one intern to work on those, so they happen about the same speed.
Yeah.
And usually even with with the monthly security updates, like Google releases that like 2 to 3 weeks before the actual release date, so there's plenty of time in there for Samsung and all the carriers to sign off.
So regarding the phones themselves, there aren't reviews out yet. There are some hands-on, not non-reviews that are, sort of present, but I don't know, but I'm assuming that there's an embargo on either the reviews or especially the photos. Or wait, are there? Wait a second.
I've seen
okay, no, there are photo samples out. Never mind.
Yeah.
I
don't know if there's I actually don't know if there's an embargo or not. It might just be no one's had the time yet to make something called a review. But
yeah,
sure.
From what I can tell, it did sound like they got pretty late access to the devices.
I know earlier this year, with I reviewed the Galaxy S21 FE, and that phone showed up at my door basically the exact same time the Samsung Unpacked event started, where they announced the phone.
Yeah.
So that's the timeline I had. But yeah, so that was fun. Oh no, wait, that was. Oh no, I'm sorry, I lied. That was the Watch 4 that I got like as they were announcing it. So that was fun. They also had a S21 Ultra in the box with that watch. I guess if you didn't have a Samsung phone and you wanted to try everything, so that was cool.
Makes sense.
They didn't include the you know what makes me sad is they sent me that phone. For a while I had XDA's one of their S21 Ultras that they toss around for comparisons and stuff. And even though I've had the phone like twice, I've never got to try that like S Pen case. It's like the only like slightly new thing about that phone is like, okay, I get it. It's huge. It's got cool camera stuff. Where's the pen? That was the one thing they did with that phone. And now the pen this year is just in the phone. So there's no need for that silly large case that had the slot for the stylus in it.
Yeah. So anyway, what I was gonna say is, while there aren't really any reviews out, The thing that stood out to me, and I'm not trying to throw shade at Samsung as I say this, but was the announcement? Did you watch the announcement?
I unfortunately did.
Yeah. Okay. Did it feel like that nothing was really announced? Like, I mean, the phones and obviously tablet were announced, but like, did it feel like there was nothing really particularly unique or special? Did this not just feel like basically the S21, but this year's S21? Like, it didn't feel like there was anything actually new.
That was definitely the vibe I was getting throughout all the leaks, and definitely some of the event where the S20, the base S phone and the S Plus are very close to last year's. There's not really anything substantial different except the new Snapdragon chip, which is just the usual yearly performance boost, whatever. And I mean, I actually think it's kind of a downgrade because they went for a glass back on the base model this year, and I like the plastic one on my let me take the case off, on my S21 base model. I really don't like glass on the back of phones. I hate that almost as much as I hate curved screens. Wow, I cannot get this case off.
I personally hate curved screens way more. But
there, yeah. See, nice plastic back.
I should have.
But I'll hold it up again.
They're switched over. Yeah, one of these days, I actually, man, ever since Elgato announced that they did a Stream Deck but as pedal form, I swear to God I want that so much.
Yeah. So the lower two phones, not really anything different, and the Ultra is only substantial because it's a new Note, and new Notes get people. Well, it's the phone itself is not, again, like, it's when you compare it to the last Note, it's a bigger upgrade because they skipped a year, and also because it's replacing the S20, the previous Ultras that didn't have a built-in stylus, and it's replacing the Note. Maybe, I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if Samsung brought the Note back at some point as its own thing. I don't know what an advantage to that would be, but they do weird stuff like that a lot.
Okay, I'm just gonna throw well, not hypothetical. Here's kind of my prediction. Well, I see two ways of this going. I think Note, in terms of the phones, is dead. Just the branding. Obviously, the product exists as the Ultra now, but I think the branding of Note is effectively dead in phones. I don't see any reason Samsung couldn't bring that in as a tablet thing.
Well, they used to.
Yeah.
They used to sell Galaxy.
Yeah, they had a Note 10
tabs,
yeah, they.
Oh yeah, it was like tab 10, the number, and then Note. I remember now. Yeah. Which that was really like that was really fun when I think I remember at Android Police when the Note 8 came out, and there was like already a category in the system for a Note 8 because it was it was a tablet. It's like, oh, all right, we're back to this now, I guess.
Yep.
That was fun.
Yeah, I could kind of see that happening. The other possibility is, if we're being realistic about it, Samsung never realistically could get a trademark on the word Note. I believe. And so there are now I believe 2 other companies that have products called Note.
Oh yeah.
So it's possible Samsung just saw that and was like, you know what, we can't win this fight and have something unique, so screw it. Let's just never have this again. Let's just throw away this name. We can burn it down. It's done. So I could definitely see them killing it, but I think if they kill the brand, it's only because they don't want to try to compete with other companies that will freely use the name too. Not because they think that the name is bad or that there's any reason not to keep using it, just they don't want to compete with other people.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, not a whole lot new. Again, this is kind of just where we're at with smartphones, where the yearly upgrades are not that exciting.
For the first time ever, the thing that excited me, and I know that I'm kind of jumping over a topic here, but the thing that excited me more than anything during their whole announcement was them talking about software that they didn't even develop. LumaTouch Fusion, LumaFusion is it's a video editor. It's really popular over on iOS, and for about a year and a half, 2 years now, it's been known that it was coming to Android. They've been developing it. Apparently they optimized for Samsung devices, blah blah blah, but they talked about it. They basically said, yep, it's coming in the next few months. It's coming to the Galaxy Store, which they didn't say it explicitly, but it sounds like it's a timed exclusive. So still, yay. I'm happy about this, but it's not actually Samsung products. So
yeah, that's definitely like one of the categories of application, like, because like Samsung, they're very obviously trying to compete with like the iPad Pro with their higher end tab. They're kind of trying to compete with the iPad and with all the tabs, but the iPad Pro is a little bit different of a beast, and definitely one of the categories that Android just has no answer to is like editing tools. The iPad just has so many of those. There's a lot, like, when I'm going through the subreddit for podcasting, and people are recommending tools, like half of them are on the iPad. Like, people just edit whole podcasts on an iPad. And there's obviously been like GarageBand and iMovie on the iPad for forever. But Android's never, like, I wrote an editorial about this like 2 or 3 years ago, but like Android really only had the only video editor is like whatever Google builds into Google Photos, which is never very powerful.
Yeah, I do remember this. I gave you the idea to write that.
Okay. Yeah. and then there was that like one app that they made for like the Motorola Zoom, and then didn't touch, and eventually, just faded away.
To be fair, and somebody brought that up in the AP comments just a day or two ago. To be entirely fair about that, that wasn't actually that good of a video editor. It was okay for the time,
Yeah, it was very clearly like a 1.0 thing.
Yeah, it was a sequencer. It had a couple of little effects, I think, and that's it. It really wasn't like, I mean, if somebody came out with that same app today, most people would look at it and go, okay, so how is this different than Google Photos? And you'd be right to ask that question, because it isn't.
Yeah, there's definitely like a ceiling for these editors that are built into like photo apps. You're like, okay, you're not getting anything more than this.
Yeah.
You can put your videos together and have transitions and like maybe some cool text. That's it. That's all you're getting.
Yeah. Which, hey, honestly, for somebody who's just doing like a quick Snapchat video or something, that's I've made like very short like promo type stuff with the movie editor on Samsung's Gallery app, and it's fine, but it's just like you're putting the videos together. That's it. Yeah.
And something better would be nice, especially because iMovie on the iPad is pretty full featured.
So the person that I referenced earlier who brought up that video app was basically saying, like, I don't think he was saying he didn't think that there were any video editors on Android that were any good. He brought up that old one, which of course people look at with rose-colored glasses. But I basically replied saying, oh no, dude, there actually are video editors on Android. The problem is almost all of them are subscription fee, and if you go looking at them, a few of them are cheap, but most of them, are actually shockingly expensive. And then like there's Adobe Premiere Rush, which is Adobe's, you know, if you're subscribed to Adobe's stuff, then you get this included. But nobody should be paying for this by itself, or just for this. It's a decent video editor, but it's not like super powerful. It's just more powerful than what you're used to with most of the mobile apps. The thing that makes LumaFusion appealing is, at least on iOS, they charge $30 flat fee one time. Now they do have they do resell a subscription to a stock video service, and they do sell, I believe, a one-time unlock for what's it called, the ability to export Final Cut Pro project files. So basically you can edit in the app on your iPad or iPhone, and then export it, and then do your real edit, like your final edit, in Final Cut Pro, which is awesome. At least I would assume so. I never tried it, but cheers, like I want that. And I know it's not going to be an option here, but please, God, somebody make this, but let it export DaVinci Resolve project files. I will do dirty things to you for this. But
no.
Noted. But yeah, this is neat, and I would happily pay some money to get that. But I think most people just want something that they don't have to pay a subscription fee for, even if they're not going to use it enough to justify it. Even if the subscription fee might have actually been more cost efficient in some cases, I think people just hate subscriptions.
Yeah, but that's kind of just what you have to do at this point, unless you're Samsung and you build your own thing, and then you can just subsidize it with hardware sales. But
yeah,
they didn't make this. What I need Samsung to do is give more money to Adobe so they get off their ass and port Photoshop for iPad to Android. I don't know what's taking them so long. But at this point, I'm paying for Lightroom and Photoshop, and I can't actually use Photoshop on anything unless I like boot into Windows and let it update again, and then wait 3 whole minutes for the desktop version of Photoshop to open. Please come on. Like Lightroom is I really hate saying anything remotely nice about Adobe, but Lightroom is one of the best like professional Android apps I've ever used, especially after like I feel like it was like 6 months to a year ago they finally added like really good export options, so you can like save your files with watermarks and file name patterns and stuff. Like it's pretty good now, but there's no Photoshop still, which drives me crazy because they've they have like 5 other things called Photoshop they've made over the years that are all not Photoshop, and worse than what comes with my phone in a lot of cases. So I need someone to give them enough money, because apparently my yearly subscription is not enough money for them to do that. They need someone else's money.
So I don't think it's a reason, but my hunch is when you talk about Photoshop on a mobile device, I think the interfaces are a challenge. And well, okay, so thinking of the 2 common levels of mobile device, there's a smartphone and a tablet. When you're talking about a smartphone, honestly, I can kind of understand why Adobe isn't trying that hard to do Photoshop on smartphones, because man, I'm not asking them to do that. Just they have Photoshop on the iPad that's just for iPad. Just bring that over to Android. That's all.
I see. I don't even think they can make the argument anymore that like there's not a market because no one buys Android tablets, because they could do what they've done with Lightroom and just also market it as a thing for Chromebooks,
Right.
which appears to be working to some extent. Um, Google has said that like Android usage on Chromebooks has gone up significantly in the past 2 years or so. So there's definitely people using them. Apparently not enough for Google to optimize most of its apps for tablets, but we'll just slide right past that, not go into that argument for the fifth time.
Yes.
So I need them to do it. I'm so tired of, there's like there's really like no photo editors with layers for Android. Like that just does not exist. I know there is now a port of, I forget what it's called, but it's like one of the big open source like illustration apps. I forgot what it's called.
I can't think of what it would be.
Oh no, I can't remember anyway. But yeah, but that's like, it's like it's made for like drawing and like basic animation. It's not made for like editing images. Like
Right.
like that's it. Not exactly. There's some overlap, but it's still not what I want. And I pay for Photoshop, so like I'd like to use what I'm paying for instead of just having it for Lightroom.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I certainly would like to see Adobe either do this, or I want to see somebody else step up and do this. Part of me wants more to see somebody else step up and do this, because I feel like if somebody else steps up and does that, they're also going to become more and more relevant also on desktop. And if they do that, I might just switch. Like, I like Photoshop. I really do. And I'm okay with Lightroom. I would be very, very happy to just be able to take that final step and be like, okay, no, I'm kind of done paying a subscription. Please let me just pay one time and be good with this for like 2 or 3 years. Just promise me updates for like 3 years, and in most cases, it's probably going to cost me less than the subscription for Photoshop and Lightroom. And I'm down.
Yeah, or just do the the parallels or crossover payment scheme, or like the very old Creative Suite payment suite where it's like, okay, great, you make a new release, every 2 to 3 years, costs $100. You upgrade if you want. If you don't, just keep, you get your old app. I know that's far more difficult on mobile, because like if you can't just have like an application that doesn't get updates, or else like Google will eventually like stop letting you list it on the Play Store because it's got like a really old API version or whatever. But that's still a couple years at a minimum.
Okay, but depending on the app, and I know that this can vary, but depending on certain types of apps, when I think about a photo editor, in reality, if a company were to basically just consistently rebuild and re-upload the app at least once a year, chances are you don't have to do that much to update it and technically stay within the requirements. It depends a lot on the app. Like an app that has to do notifications and has a lot of system integration stuff, oh man, that, like, keeping those updated and compliant with Google's rules can sometimes it can be a beast to do that. And that can be a full-time job for a developer. But I feel like a photo editor, man, you write that once. I think most of that stuff, like, you might have to update the icon someday. You might have to update, like, maybe notification channels when those came along. Like, there are occasionally things that come along that you might have to update, but for the most part, like, think about a photo editor having to do notifications. It's not much of a thing.
Like the only continual progress that you have to make with something like this is implementing maybe implementing features that people ask for, but like there's no maintenance. Like this isn't a game that you have to like keep the server up or add incentives for people to keep using it or whatever. Like a social network, for example.
Yeah.
Like you're not like dying for higher user engagement numbers. Like it's a professional tool. Like honestly, like a great example of this is actually Photoshop. Like if I go, like I was using a pirated copy of Photoshop CS6 for years because like that's around because I've used CS6, I used CS3 before that, and like I've even used the original Photoshop CS a couple of times just like out of novelty. I had a copy of it somewhere. It's really close to like what I need. Like besides all the cool stuff they've done with like the content aware fill and occasionally making the interface better, very rare. Usually they just make the buttons look different and call it a day. But it's really close to like what I need out of Photoshop is the version they made a decade ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that has bothered me, and I've seen a few other apps that support some of the features that I care about from Photoshop. And I can't help but think, look, I want to talk to them and say, look, if you just took these features that you already have in like your desktop app, put it into an Android app, or for that matter, just make a desktop app that has this particular set of things, no more than that, sell it for this amount, you will make a killing, and you will just absolutely wreck Adobe's life. Just do that, and you will get rich. And they never do.
And and I don't know what it is with photo editors, because like the open source world has not quite come up with a good answer for this either. Like when I mentioned the tablet app earlier, I found it. It's called Krita, Krita. It's like a desktop, mostly Linux drawing app, but they did like just a straight port to Android, like not changing the UI at all, which is fine because it's a tablet. You don't really need to do that.
Still probably needed some changes.
It did at the time. Like there was like a giant bar at the top for nothing. But I assume they fixed that by now because that was 2020. They've had time. Oh yeah, it looks way better in these Play Store screenshots. Anyway, but yeah, like there's a couple other like really basic tools. I hate the name, but like GIMP is like usually the one that people go to, and I don't like the name. I don't really like the people behind it because they're like very abrasive about a bunch of things, including the name. Like every time you bring up the name, I think they like tell you to fuck off, like quite literally that. Yeah. And that they also have the issue that like Photoshop has where they're just so slow. Like again, like I know it's open source and like 99 if not all percent are all of these people are doing in their spare time, but like GIMP especially has always been like an entire generation behind on GTK, like the interface framework that they use. Like I don't even know if they're on GTK 3 yet, which showed up like 8 years ago. But yeah, they're just I'm sorry, I know they got on that somewhat recently, but now GTK 4 is out, so now they get to start the wheel again. But
I know that this probably won't make sense to hardly anyone that would be listening, but I think you'll understand this. It kind of sounds like they're trying to replicate Adobe's history on the Mac. As long as you're supporting whatever thing is no longer supported, like if you're always just a step behind, obviously you'll be successful, just like Adobe was.
Yeah, but like even with that, and even though like the main difference with GIMP is that it doesn't have non-destructive editing. Which makes it like absolutely terrible anytime I want to like make something. Like if I'm just like cropping an image or blurring something out or drawing something, like it's It's perfect. It opens in like 0.3 seconds on my computer, compared to Photoshop, which like spins up. I don't know what they're doing in the background of my computer, but it's so fast for that stuff. But I still need Photoshop for some stuff, and I can't use it because they won't make a Linux version. They updated their Creative Cloud app thing to the point where, even though I've tried it for hours and hours, I can't get that to run in Wine. Like that's not going to happen, which sucks because until they did that, I had a project that like did a wrapper around that for Linux, and was like moderately popular. But yeah, it's just not possible now. And again, like it kills me because I'm paying for this, and I can't not pay for it because then I lose access to Lightroom, which I really like, and makes my photos look good. And I like it when my photos look good.
Yeah, see, the thing is, I can replace Lightroom. There honestly are some really incredible raw editors out there. And I'm not talking about the free open source stuff or stuff. Yeah, definitely not talking about those. I'm talking about things like Capture One. Oh god, suddenly I'm blanking on the names of others, but there are some out there. They're one-time payments, though. I think Capture One allows you to do a subscription, but they also have a one-time payment, depending on which way you want to go. They exist. So I'd be okay giving up Lightroom. I'm not okay giving up Photoshop. That's the one that's hard for me to replace, because at least on Mac, all of the apps that I've seen, man, I despise, absolutely hate. What's the name of the app? Okay, I'm quickly looking because I know I have it in here. I'm just blanking on the name of it. Because I downloaded this ages ago and I've hated it so much. Pixelmator.
Yeah.
I hate Pixelmator. Yeah. It's garbage. Yeah. I have also tried, and I bought copies of a lot of these different apps. I also have tried Affinity Photo, and it's okay, but it's weird and buggy in ways. I don't love it. So the thing is, I know Photoshop incredibly well, and there are certain features that I have gone looking and they are not present in some of these others, and it's like, damn it, you're killing me, guys. If you add these really simple things that I know are not patented, you'd be okay. Like, I will use you, but in the meantime, I bought your apps and you're not cutting it. I can't do anything with you, thanks, but you're failing.
I like David Lama's comment. He said, "Why are open source people jerks?" That is a great question.
It really is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the same like weird overlap that I like kind of a little bit understand, but can't fully explain. Like, kind of like how so much of like the IT sector are furries. Like I kind of get it, but there's not a direct connection between those two things. Like, I know part of it is just that the people who get really into this kind of like development and like say it's just people who are like, you know, screw Microsoft and Apple and stuff, I'm gonna do this thing on my own. So they might have like that same attitude about other stuff. Like when people suggest changes to something they made, they're like, no, fuck you, I'm doing this how I want. Which is fine, you know, like that's like, I have software projects where people have like asked for stuff or changes to something. I'm just like, no, I'm good. I don't really want to do that. But there is definitely like a subculture with a lot of like the Linux and open source people where they're just like weird and like oddly like, I don't know if elitism is the right word, but it's kind of that same vibe of just like, I know what's best, or like I'm gonna do what I want. And then there's the usual sector of people that are like the old guard, like the Richard Stallman types, who are just like insufferable human beings because they're all old and like just, you know, fucking weird people who need to not be weird.
Hey, speaking on behalf of people who are closing in on being an old,
Okay.
don't pick on us too much.
Look, look, as long as you know, don't sexually assault women, Cody, or like pick shit out of your toes and eat it while on stage, you're probably fine. Yeah. Richard Stallman did that. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, that I didn't know.
Yeah.
I've heard other crap about him. I did not hear that one.
He's really fucking weird.
Shit. Man, I've seen some disgusting stuff on Hot Ones.
I know.
And none of it comes close to that. Wow.
Dude's weird. Also, there's just like a lot of like libertarian types in like the open source world, and those people in general are just kind of weird, especially to interact with. And I mean, there's nice libertarians, but also it's that same a lot of them like take it way too far, and it gets weird.
Well, let's not neglect that has also led a whole lot of those people down the crypto road.
Yeah.
Libertarians have this, like real libertarians, not the bastardization that kind of emerged politically a few years ago. But real libertarians, man, they love that idea of decentralization.
They love crypto. They love crypto because that's like their perfect thing. Because like, what are the last things like you really need a government for? It's like, to have organize some kind of currency. Who's the can't believe I'm blanking on his name because I've complained about him Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is like that libertarian. He's funded so many weird crypto projects, like not even including Brave, but he's like the main guy who keeps pumping money into all those like country on a boat projects that never work out because no one who wants to try that understands how boats or countries work.
Yeah.
It's just those people. But yeah, there's a lot of open source jerks. I know a lot of nice people in that, but there's definitely way too many jerks. I think definitely greater in proportion to the average group of people and average jerks, I would say.
I just want to let you know, I've been thinking for a while that I should do like a short outtakes reel. I'm totally 100% making a bookmark for the all
Liar
IT people are furries bit.
It's true, Cody. I don't think they're all there.
The thing is,
they're all either IT professionals at Fortune 500 companies or very good, not safe for work artists. It's one of those two things.
Okay, so I just have to say this, that this is so dumb and irrelevant, but I have this friend. Many years ago, she was seeing, engaged to, and actually did get married to this one guy who was in IT. And I gotta say, while I never heard anything about him being a furry, and I'm pretty sure he wasn't, at least at that point in history, he's 100% somebody that I could see becoming a furry. And moreover, there are other things that I know about that relationship, which, by the way, they're not together anymore. Thank God. I'm friends with her, and none of her friends liked him, so that was a good thing. But honestly, like I think about him, and it's just like, I bet today he's a furry. It checks out. He was on the road, he just didn't know it yet.
Well, I was scrolling through things I've written in the past week to see if there's like anything else kind of interesting.
Yeah, we really didn't try sticking to a
Um,
topic for that long.
No. One short thing is the Pixel 3 is probably dead now. It got a update. It's getting one update this month, which I don't know if it actually has. I don't think it's actually the like January or February security patch. I think it's just like more patches they've downstreamed from whatever the newer updates are to fix some bugs. Because I think I saw some people complaining that like Android 12 really did a number on the Pixel 3, apparently. So
Oh shit, did
probably. I think I don't know. I mean, people said about Android 12 on everything, so I don't actually know if it was in greater proportion. But
I hope that's not true, because I literally have been holding off on updating to 12 on my Pixel 3 for ages until literally this morning.
oh, good. Okay, well, report back and we'll see.
Well, I've been sitting and watching this update process go on for a while, and I kind of figured, by now it's probably got to be fixed, right? Yeah, that's probably wrong.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay, actually, I think I just got that update.
Nice.
Restarting.
But yeah.
Well, worst case scenario, I can flash it back to 11 someday.
It will never stop killing me that companies like Google like even when going back to Samsung's event, like this whole start of the event, every company feels the need to do this now, where they need for 5 minutes to talk about how they're carbon neutral or whatever. Which I hate the entire like carbon neutral thing, because it just means you're planting a bunch of trees that won't actually like produce oxygen for 30 years. But whatever. But like they all do this now, and yet this phone is still like perfectly functional as a phone, but they're just like, we're done. And I won't do the whole Android update speech again, because I think we talked about this last week when that blog post showed up, and
we've talked about this like almost every week.
Yeah, it comes up a lot, but like it really kills me that this keeps happening, and that Apple is just so much better at this. Like, it's not even close.
I don't think Apple's real. I mean, they're better about sending out updates. Like, they have a longer update cycle, even if it's got its own problems.
Yeah. Like I know the like not everything. Like my first generation iPhone SE does not have all the software features of a iPhone 13, but it is still like the same security as whatever the new OS is.
Right.
And so on. But
yeah, the thing is, I think even Apple gets or gives itself too much credit, because they're still definitely running a cycle. They're pushing very hard for people to upgrade faster than they need to, and every company is responsible for doing this.
Yeah. Apple's not in the clear here.
All that being said, earlier when we were talking about Samsung's event and how it honestly just wasn't super exciting, and again, this isn't shade on Samsung. I think that's perfectly fine. The more I think about it, though, when it comes to the scale of like being environmentally friendly, it actually is fantastic when phones are boring. When an update comes out and you can look at it and go, oh no, seriously, like I'm okay with the one I have. I don't need to upgrade.
Like the most environmentally friendly phone is the one you have right now, like just permanently.
Yeah, and if people feel like the latest one that came out just isn't worth upgrading to, that's fantastic. Please, we need more of that. Let's always have more of that cycle. Obviously, some of us are always going to want to upgrade to the latest. It's in our nature, and maybe we do good things with the phone when we're done with it. I mean, me personally, I would just use a phone until it is long past the point it should be retired. Other people will give it away or sell it. Great, fantastic. I encourage this. But the people who just buy and kind of trash their phones or notoriously drop them so that they can get Twitter followers, like, that's a group I'm less happy with.
Yeah, and
subtle shade thrown.
Samsung did announce during that event that they're pushing the OS support for their flagship phones to four major updates and then 5 years of security, which I believe makes Samsung now the leader again in terms of Android updates. I don't know what was the Pixel 6? Was it 3? Or
it's 3 years of updates, 5 years.
Oh, 5 years. Yeah. Okay.
Wait, is it
five? So I think
five.
it's 5.
5 years of security. Anyway, yeah, which is good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not good enough, in my opinion. I think the major updates need to be 1 year longer. I'm kind of okay with 5 years for security.
Yeah, like at that point, I mean, like, I'm gonna keep saying they need to do more because it's still silly, but like realistically, not a lot of people are keeping their phone for more than 5 years. At that point, your main issue is what I talked about when I complained about Chrome OS updates, because Google's been pushing Chrome OS updates now. Like, the new computers come with like 8 years or something like that. Like, it's pretty good now. But with computers, you have the issue of people buy them a lot of times 2-3 years after the computer comes out. Which was really an issue for Chrome OS, because like when I wrote my long editorial about why Chrome OS updates need to get better, I pointed out that, you know, like the top results for a Chromebook when you went and bought one on Amazon were all like 2, 3, 4 years old, and they didn't have, you know, that much longer left on their support cycles. Phones are a little bit different, especially Android phones, where they're not really on the market for as long as like an Apple phone, right? Because Apple does the thing where the new phone comes out, they make the old one cheaper or free, whereas Samsung they have a new phone at every price point every year.
Yeah.
So the logistics are a little bit different. Realistically, people are not keeping their phone for more than 5 years. For most people, but I mean, I still think they should push it longer, just because that's how, you know, smartphones are computers in a weird way, and computers, you can keep putting whatever software you want on them, unless you're Apple.
Well, the striking thing for me as far as computers go, it is a commonplace thing for somebody to take a computer, and even once the computer's battery is just totally and completely gone, you can still sit down, plug that thing into a wall, and run it perfectly fine. No difficulty at all. That is the reason why computers need to have longer updates, is because it's just very realistic to use that hardware past that point. Whereas with a phone, first off, because you're carrying it in your pocket, you're moving it around, it's constantly getting bumped or tossed in places. The odds of it getting damaged beyond repair, first off, are just higher. So you're going to have sort of some natural attrition on the phone. On top of it, the battery only has so much time. And once a phone's battery is gone, I mean, don't get me wrong, people obviously do plug in their phone and use it attached to a wall 100% of the time. I know people who do this. I've had a phone
with my that was me with my original Pixel.
Yep. I was just gonna say, my original Pixel, 100%. That phone, at a certain point, I couldn't unplug it and plug it into a new source of power fast enough to keep it from dying. Like, that's how far dead the battery currently is. So yeah, I mean, it's over. That phone, I haven't charged it in forever. But yeah, it's just reality. Like, phones do die faster. So I understand it. My issue, I think, is that I really wish the software, like, fix the core software so it keeps getting updates and can go out to any and every phone that's realistically going to use it. And Android is getting there. They're getting closer to that Nirvana level. Like, the OS is one thing. It's separate from vendor stuff. Like, we're getting there. Project Mainline is helping. Their update system is getting closer to this perfect version of what Android could be.
Yeah.
But we're also still, like, honestly, we're like probably 7 to 8 years away from actually getting where we should be.
Yeah, and then the core issue is still that once something is done, you can't really do anything with it, right? Like, there's a lot of Android phones that you can't unlock the bootloader on. Like,
yes,
everything Samsung makes, at least in the US. I think there's some places that you can get bootloader unlocks, but not here. So yeah, anyway, so yeah, I don't like that the Pixel 3 is dead now. I get it. It's just it gets really tiring that I have to sit through one of those like carbon neutral speeches every single tech event, every time. It's every time now, and these are the companies that contribute the most to this problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think that they're wasting their time when they do that segment. That being said, I swear to God, I genuinely believe this. I think they put in that segment so that press has a few minutes that they can just completely tune the crap out and just do what they need to do, like work on their own stuff and ignore it. I know, honestly, they're putting it there so that they usually put it there so that they can make their obligatory brag, and anyone who's policing them feels like they've accomplished something. Honestly, I think that's why they really put it.
I would believe that if that was like in the middle of everything happening. I think that was like one of the first things they did.
Well,
if I
a lot
remember
of times
correctly.
it is, at least with Apple. Apple always puts it in the middle now.
Yeah, and Apple does the thing where like you show up for an iPhone event and you leave having watched like 4 trailers for Apple TV content. So there's also those breaks.
Yeah.
when the trailer goes for whatever new show Apple paid too much money for, that's your time to catch up on articles. But yeah, it's frustrating to no end, especially because like Samsung's the leader in here, so I'm not gonna like go like too terribly on there because technically no one is doing better. that's not always like a pass, but like sure, good job Samsung, but then there's still like all the companies that just don't even come anywhere near this. Like I had to write about a new TCL phone that I think is a Verizon it's a Verizon exclusive. It's like the TCL 30V something. And I haven't used a TCL phone in years. I think I only reviewed like once for Android Police, I think. And so I was like, okay, I don't know what they're like with updates now. Let me just go check what the last phone got. That would give me a good idea, right? Nothing. It got nothing. There was not a single major update for that phone. It probably got some security updates, but absolutely nothing. I checked the one before that. Same thing. So it's like, this is just an issue still. Which is also why at this point, my recommendation, if someone asks what Android phone to buy, I usually just tell them whatever Samsung phone is in the price bracket you're willing to pay. Because especially in like the budget zone, it's Samsung and then like the Pixel A, and that's it.
Yeah.
You should not buy any other budget Android phones. Or really flagships, I think.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
probably both.
Like, if someone's asking me, it does depend on the person. I like, if it's someone I don't know, Which, by the way, I know that's a weird thing to say, but if you kind of work as a tech journalist in any capacity, you will have people asking, "Oh, what phone should I get?" And you, like in the back of your head, you're going, "I don't even know you, dude. Like, who the hell are you? I've literally never met you. You ran into me in an airport."
That wasn't my case.
Huh?
That wasn't my case. Because I said like a minute, I was like, "Oh yeah, I did that last week," but no, it wasn't like abrasive.
Yeah, but like, I have literally run into people in the middle of random public places, and they're like, "Oh, you do this," or like some of them actually know who I am. This has happened at Google I/O a few times. They didn't ask me what phone to get, but in other settings, like people find out what you do, and it's like, "Oh, well, what phone should I get?" And it's like, I don't know you. Like, we're never going to talk to each other again. Please don't ask me this. I'm not going to try to give you good advice. But for the people that I do know and I care about trying to give them good advice, I'll try to ask questions and figure it out. But for the most part, my answers are almost always going to come down to, look, I assume you're not down to spend $1,000 or more on a phone. So to that end, like there may be 3 phones I'm going to tell you to get, and they're all basically mid-range phones. They all have the cameras of their really expensive cousins or brothers or sisters, whatever, siblings. And like the only difference is they probably have like a plastic body and maybe a slightly less awesome screen. But you pay it half the price, so that's worth it. And the only difference is I might tell someone to get a Pixel versus a Galaxy phone. That's about it. Like, yeah. One or two people I think I may have said look into OnePlus, but that's about it.
Yeah, there's not many choices anymore, especially because a lot of the companies that like weren't even really good choices before have bailed. You know, like HTC isn't in the picture anymore. Sony in the US has never been a factor.
God,
at least in the past like decade.
I want to try some Sony phones so badly.
I've come close over the years because I like their industrial design for a while, and they do make like small good phones sometimes, which I do like. But their prices in the United States have always been awful. Like just not even close to being competitive.
Well, their prices in a lot of places, depending on the phone, are actually pretty obscene anyway. I just a few weeks ago got caught up on some YouTube videos from many months ago, and I saw a bunch of camera review channels got their hands on a specific Sony phone. I don't remember which one it was, but watching their reviews, like I read a few reviews from people in the tech sphere, like phone reviewers, when they covered these phones or this phone, and the opinions were basically, "Oh, this is dumb, why would Sony make this?" And then I get to the camera channels and they're like, "Wow, Sony just blew the freaking roof off with this phone. Like, it's incredible. It has all of this stuff that basically makes it comparable to these kind of like lightweight cameras." Even literally using the sensor from, I think it was their RX100 or something. It's literally the exact same sensor as a technically fixed lens mediocre camera, but still, that is really impressive to put that into a phone. And all those camera reviewers were basically saying, this might not be for people at our level, but this is amazing. This is incredible. Meanwhile, phone reviewers are all like, "No, this is dumb. We don't care." And they just pan it off. It's like, hey, where's that person in the middle that knows enough to actually recognize? And I feel like I'm describing what I wish I could be. Is that person in the middle that actually had access to say all of this stuff. But yeah. Anyway, this long rant, I'll just say, please, Sony, send me stuff to review.
Yeah, I mean, like definitely a couple of years ago, I was like, I came close to getting something because I was like, I haven't tried anything they made. I wonder if it's good, but you know, they're kind of and also from what I understand, their updates are getting worse. They used to be one of the best with software updates. Now they've started to get slower, and they're doing the thing that like anyone who isn't Samsung or Google does, where it's like, okay, the flagship gets 2 years or something like that. I don't know what their number is now, but it's not as good as everyone else. But yeah. So I have one more thing I can talk about, and then I'll probably bail because I need to mail this package. I don't really want to leave and do it tomorrow because I've got other stuff I want to get done tomorrow. But yeah. Also David said, talk about my ethics statement. Should every journalist have set a personal standard on what they will not write? Yeah, so I did publish a ethics statement on my website that kind of just explains what almost everyone does for the most part. Like we're not taking bribes from Samsung to say good things. Not that Samsung's offering. Well, they don't really have to pay me to do that. I mostly like their phones, but yeah, just normal stuff. I don't really have anything to talk about it. It's just kind of there. I mean, I think probably everyone should have something like that, maybe, but that's also kind of a thing that like the outlet itself usually does or should be doing. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. It's just it's there.
Okay. I'll kind of. I'm gonna throw this back in sort of an odd way. I think in a lot of cases, writing an ethics statement usually, it's one of those things where when you're coming from a certain position, you may have been burned in a certain way. I'm sure you know what I'm referring to here.
Right.
But once you've been burned on a certain thing, you certainly come to that decision that you don't want to cover certain stuff, or at least you don't want to be in a position where you have to discuss something in a certain way. So I completely agree with that. Any ethics statement, for example, where you're saying, I don't ever want to cover crypto in a positive light, you can absolutely come down on that position, and I think that's fair. And it's the thing is, I think at the same time there's, how do I want to say this? First off, I guess it's kind of like a consent list. You never know necessarily that you're gonna have to come out saying I won't do this thing until you're faced with having to do that thing. That's why anyway, there's no way not to keep thinking, wow, this is like asking someone for consent. You have to convey a concept to them.
Here's your ethics statement for out when you go on Tinder.
Yeah. But yeah, the classic, like, what are you willing to do? Which, by the way, is a famous subject in the adult industry, is asking people what they're willing to do before you bring them on for a job and things like that. And yeah, the same obviously does have to exist for journalists. The thing is, it's such a wide field. There's a "that's what she said" joke just around every corner of what I'm saying. But it's such a wide field, you don't necessarily know what you're going to get presented with, and it's kind of hard to write an ethics statement that says, I won't talk about these topics, when in reality, I think that list of topics, again, in reality, is gonna be a mile long. Like,
Yeah.
I'm never going to write about what is the current crypto world in a positive light. So if somebody ever assigns me something like, what's the best smartphone for mining crypto, I'm perfectly comfortable telling somebody that I'll kick them in the balls if I ever meet them, because they tried to make me write that, and I just won't write it.
Yeah, like there's a lot of stuff here where like I already know like what the answer will be if someone asks, but I don't know what the question will be. Like, you know, like obviously if I wasn't in tech, like this seems to be an issue in sports right now, where there's kind of a lot of dirty money in sports, especially like FIFA and the Olympics. And like if someone asked me to write like a cushy news article about like the next you know, like FIFA game made, you know, famously where this stadium is being constructed by like basically slave labor, like I probably wouldn't feel comfortable doing that.
Right.
But that hasn't come up in writing about phones yet, so I think I'm okay there. But
Yet. give it a minute.
yeah, I mean there are a lot of like FIFA mobile games, so you know if the opportunity comes up, I can like slide in my distaste for FIFA in the, you know, bottom half of that article. But yeah, like I mean I don't have a lot to say about this because I feel like when I talk about this, it kind of comes off as like I'm better than everyone who doesn't do all this stuff, and I'm trying not to be that because that's annoying. And my printer's printing very loudly. I'm sorry.
It's actually not coming through that loud.
Okay,
Yay,
it's very loud. But
I mean, I can hear it, but it's pretty faint.
Yeah, just had to get that shipping. My printer's doing that thing where like everything looks like it has a slight drop shadow. And I don't really know how to fix that. But, okay, but yeah, I mean, not a whole lot to say about this. Also, the issue with this is like there's no one but me holding the account up, so it also doesn't like mean a whole lot. But yeah, that's just what I wrote.
Well, to me, everything's always on kind of a sliding scale, and I would also sort of blend in that famous thing that they used to say, the difference between art and pornography. I can't describe it, but I know it when I see it. Right. I feel like so much of ethics in any journalistic situation comes down to, here's a thing I know today, the thing I'm being asked to do, or the thing that I'm being put in a position to do. I know today that that's not okay, so I'm not going to do it. But if somebody comes to me in, let's say, 3 years and says, hey, I want you to write about crypto, and the thing that they're positioning to me is maybe technology that is not environmentally awful, it's not part of an actual scam, it's a legitimized thing. And I mean, like, we'll just use the classic terms like peer-reviewed, it, you know, backed by multiple established sources, whatever that means. Like if somebody approaches me under those circumstances and says, hey, can you write this thing about crypto, I might look at it and go, okay, I'm down for this. This is okay, because I know I'm not contributing to awful crap by doing this.
Yeah, and that's the other issue, that like ideally I don't want to talk about anything like that, because like at a certain level, I think kind of when you do talk about it, unless like every single sentence in what you write is just with a negative tone, it does kind of contribute to the issue, because you're shining a light on something. Again, unless it's like the entire topic is about why it's terrible.
Yeah.
Like if someone's writing an article about you know, the labor involved in building the FIFA stadium for this year. Like if it's like, yeah, but you know, but it's like if I was writing an article about a crypto bank and I just wrote it like Associated Press style or like BBC style, which is zero opinion. Like this is just the base information. You have no idea if it's good or bad. After reading this, you just know what it is. That's also like kind of an issue. So yeah, it's just very very difficult to pin down. This is, you know what this is like. This is kind of like, I remember when someone, I forget who this was, and I also don't want to like make this seem like I'm making fun of them, because I don't know exactly who this is. You might know, but I don't remember. But I know at Android Police, when someone new showed up, and they started to cover like sales on stuff, which, you know, is a thing we do. And they were trying to like ask like why something specific wasn't a good sale, and like we were like going back and forth about like specific examples, and I could tell they were like trying to like do the thing that I think most people do, where like they're trying to pin like common factors between these like good deals, and like try to create like like narrow rules, like, okay, past this percentage of discount or whatever. But it's like, it's kind of just like fuzzy. Like, again, like it's going back to that, like I know if it's, you know, I can tell if it's porn, right? Like there's not like it's difficult to pin exact rules on this stuff. It's kind of just like, if I feel like it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually don't know who you're talking. Well, there are too many people you could be talking about, rather.
Yeah, I don't remember. This was probably years ago, but yeah, just that kind of energy where it's like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of just like a fuzzy.
Where I thought
area.
you were going to go with that when you first started explaining it was the other type of thing where somebody comes in and they're maybe they obviously don't know what the rules are, what the standards are, but then as you kind of try to convey it to them and explain, like, here's what we reject and here's why we avoid this thing or that thing, they then proceed to try to rationalize why something should be allowed and why this thing or that thing is okay, even if the other thing that's almost identical wasn't okay. Because, man, I've seen a few of those, and we've both seen certain particular people at other sites who very much did that kind of stuff, which is how you end up with sites that wrote some, like, hey, here's the greatest sale ever on a MacBook Pro, and it turns out it's like, oh yeah, it's 3% off. Guys, you can't justify doing a sale for that. Or the ones that write the, hey, by the way, here's the best device for mining crypto. No, don't. You didn't need to write this post. You didn't need to have this. And the arguments of, we swear it's okay because everyone else does it, or it's okay because maybe no one can get this thing anyway, so who cares if we wrote this post, or you're writing it because list any other rationalized reason why it was okay to do that. That's cringy. And that's the thing, like, we know we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It's hard to codify what we won't do, but man, when we're faced with that moment of having to confirm whether or not we won't do it, it's not hard to look at those examples and say, nope, that was a step too far. There was a clear line, any sane person could have seen it. Somehow you guys don't, but I do. And I'm not gonna go to that side of the line.
Yeah, so anyway, long story short is this stuff is complicated. And it's not really fun to deal with. So anyway, the last thing I was going to talk about, because I just think it's funny, is, and I usually hate these like Google kills a thing kind of stories, because like I'm so sick of the meme. Like, I'm just like, I know it's funny to be like, haha, you know, Google killed another thing that was functional for 2 years. I'm so sick of that trade. Like, it's the same thing as like the people pointing out like like when a celebrity does like a sponsored post for like Samsung and it says Twitter for iPhone, like
Yes.
no one expects anything otherwise. Like they might not even have sent that like themselves. It might again like it's up there with like discourse I just have zero interest in absorbing.
Yes.
But this one was kind of funny, so I'll put this in the Discord for the RambleCast, and it's about Google Plus, which yeah, surprise, that happened this week. So what's happening is that Google is last year they kind of introduced this weird thing in like Gmail for companies that was it replaced something in Google Chat, which is like the company Hangouts, or like what Hangouts is now, and it's kind of like it's like a cross between like a Discord for something and like just like a message board sort of. I don't really know how to describe this, but it's like a message board for like people working in a company. Anyone can go and look and leave comments and stuff if they want. And so Google made that, and it's apparently like pretty popular. So they're discontinuing the thing that's like kind of like it they had before now, which is Google Currents, which is Google Plus. Like that's just what they renamed Google Plus to. They had a Google Plus that everyone made fun of for years and was shut down in 2019. And they have a Google Plus for like G Suite, where it's like every company gets their own siloed off Google Plus, and that's what they can talk to each other in. I remember that was in the news a little while ago because like Google employees were like spamming it when Google was doing something not great. But yeah, so like that's like it's like an internal Facebook that has no communication to the outside world. And so Google's discontinued. They said with Spaces now available, which is the new thing in like Gmail, we are planning to wind down Google Currents and bring remaining content and communities over to the new Spaces experience. So this is the official end of the line for anything Google Plus related.
The actual Google Plus code is basically dead.
Yeah.
Except, of course, for the parts that got splintered off into Google Photos, which started as a Google Plus product, and Hangouts kind of did. And I know that's sort of dead, but a big chunk of Hangouts is still actually functional. So
right. Yeah, like there's like the features and stuff have kind of moved into different things. So this isn't like a drastic,
but yeah,
loss
this is
of functionality anywhere.
This is the social network part is actually finally dead. Yeah,
like they're moving to a different approach that's more like, having like a Discord channel for certain topics or company events or something. So yeah, kind of interesting. And of course, like after I published this, one of the editors DM me was like, "Oh, I wasn't expecting Google Plus in a headline in this year," but yeah, like that's just what that's fun. But yeah, so this is
in 2022, and the year of our Lord.
Yeah, we're still talking about this. And I'll get to do it. I'll get to do it again next year because it's not shutting down until sometime then, presumably. But yeah, it's kind of wild. I'd love to know how many companies actually used Currents.
Yeah,
because it seems like that was 2019 when they moved it over to what's called Currents. They had like Google Plus for internal companies before then, but like even now, it really seems like that's just not how people communicate inside of companies, unless there's like a use for this that I'm not aware of. But like a lot of this is just happening in like whatever direct messaging platform a company has. And like Google even said in their blog post that they said that like people are using Spaces way more because it's tied into Gmail and Google Docs and that stuff. But Current was like its own thing. Like you had to open like it's like a different website and app, so people weren't using it as much.
Yeah. So, from what I've seen, a lot of companies kind of moved to doing, I mean, if they wanted a social element to it, they kind of went the route of Discord or something like it. Or if they wanted to go the route of like a place to store and keep information, which was how Google Plus was being used at companies. Like back when they said we're going to keep this running for private institutions of various kinds. Like they basically said, look, it's because companies are using this as kind of a way of storing only barely organized information. And it made a lot of sense in that context. The thing is, a whole lot of companies basically took that same concept and said, why don't we just make a wiki? We'll just do a wiki. That's good enough. And it kind of is. Like it, wikis, if it's
good enough
correctly,
yeah,
they work great.
Yeah, if it's good enough for the largest encyclopedia on earth, it's good enough for your company. So,
I was gonna say if it's good enough for gamer culture and a bunch of manga fans, it's good enough for your company.
I love those like made with notepad guides for games from 20 years ago that are still hosted in places.
But it would be interesting to know how many companies were still using this, or even just maybe not still, but at least for the last 2 years, maybe 2 years ago, or for that matter, honestly, even when they just shut down Google Plus, I'd kind of like to know at that stage how many people are using it, because that would even be interesting. I've always wanted to know how successful was Google Plus at various points in his life, because from the position of somebody who saw it actually getting pretty heavy use, it feels weird to it always felt weird when I saw people say it's a ghost town, because that's like seeing people go on Twitter and say, oh, I never see anything on Twitter. Well, sure, because you don't follow anyone, and you never open it or read it,
or when like someone doesn't like a game, so they call it dead. Like, no, it's not dead, dumbass. There's like 15,000 active players right now. Like, Team Fortress 2 is not dead. Go away. But yeah, like it's I don't know, because like if I'm thinking like if I want to, because like what Currents was for, it was like just like kind of a hangouts place, or just like a where you go when you're like you don't need to do one-on-one communication, just general, like, like you're in an office setting and you're just kind of walking around and saying stuff very loudly so other people can hear you. But like when I think about that case, like everywhere I've worked, it's just always been like, oh, there's like a text channel where you just dump it in there, and like a non-work related place for that. Or like when I want to just like generally talk to people I work with in a casual way, I'm not doing it on a platform that the company can see all the activity logs on and all the messages and everything else.
Well, that's one thing that always blows my mind about Google is there's nonstop stories about, I forget what the name of it is, but they have some internal social network. And it's barely social network. It seems more like a forum kind of thing, almost XDA like forums. But they seriously, the crap that comes out of that, it's amazing. They're the stories of like employees bullying each other, or the things that people will actually willingly post for the entire company to see. It makes you wonder, like, how do people not realize that the company, like HR, is looking at the things you're posting, and they're judging you for it?
Yeah, and it's especially when like I remember like I won't say details about this publicly, so I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this where it there's still some level of information I can disclose. But like I remember somewhere I used to work where there was like a big and that I know that's funny because I've worked at like a handful of companies. But
I was just thinking, like, anyone who's
yeah.
paid attention has heard
There
of all
was
the
a-
places you've worked. This is
there
not going
was
to be
a-
a hard thing to guess.
Yeah, there was a place I worked where there were some messages that the higher ups of the company were not super happy with that were being posted in that place, and so they just like blocked people from posting there after a couple minutes. Like that's kind of again. So like I don't really know like how much this was getting used. Um, like it seems like the only value in this idea, which is like say something that like is maybe related to your work operations, but like it doesn't need to be like a direct message. Like there's other like Google has Google Chat, which has different channels for this kind of thing. You know, Slack has different channels. Other places do like you know, if it's like an announcement that needs to go to everyone, like that's literally what email was invented for. It's just bulk sending of messages. So yeah, like I don't know how much use they were getting out of that. But it is still kind of historically significant. And again, like I did kind of like Google Plus. My main issue with Google Plus was just that it was really falling behind in a lot of like community features. Like I remember when I was before I worked at Android Police or anything, I had a Minecraft blog, originally called Powered by Redstone, and I had set up a. I don't know if I set it up or if like I became a mod and then just like the main owner, but I had a community for like Minecraft stuff on Google Plus that I was using as like a vertical to advertise my own website. So like people could post in there and then I would post like the new blog post in there too and like do whatever the pinning thing was, like Reddit, like it was like Reddit. But I remember after a certain point, there was just an absurd amount of spam going through a lot of communities, including the ones I was doing. And there's just no way, like, there's no way to fix that unless you just like manually approve to everyone. That didn't tell you anything either, because a lot of people who use Google Plus, like, they just, had blank profiles, and you don't know what they've left on other places. Unlike Reddit, right? If you go to someone's account on Reddit, like, you see everything they've done, but. Yeah, like it was just like stuff like that, kind of like what YouTube is still dealing with. So maybe this is just a, repeated Google problem. But there was stuff like that I wasn't a fan of. I really love the ability to post stuff to certain groups only, or like certain groups of friends that Google Plus called circles. That's really great. I don't know why no one. Like, I know Twitter's like experimenting with it, but it feels like something everyone should have copied like immediately. Kind of like what happened with Clubhouse. Like the posting things to like specific groups of people is way more helpful to me than like being able to spin up an audio room that people can talk to. And yet everyone was like jumping on the opportunity to clone Clubhouse. And I still don't have like, there's still no circles in Twitter,
So, I agree Google Plus was falling behind in a couple of ways, but what stands out to me is that they did a few things very right that no one else has done, and some of the things that they failed to do, it's just bewildering that they failed to do them. The thing that I harped on Google Plus for years, and I mean, I wrote so many teardowns where I got like, this is the thing I truly miss about doing teardowns. I wrote so much stuff where I could kind of hop on a soapbox and say, hey, the thing you need to be able to do in Google Plus is like give us better and more ways to format text. Because right now, all I can do is bold, italic, and I think there was a strike through. And then that's not good enough. Like, give me, I don't need a lot more, but give me a little bit more. Give me ways that I can do more with Google Plus. right now, because what they gave us was halfway there. We needed a little bit more, and it didn't need to be a lot. It needed to be kind of the basic markdown stuff. Give us the ability to do bulleted lists. Give us the ability to like indent a little bit, or maybe even maybe center text. That's iffy. It possibly give us the ability to do colored text, like just different colors. I don't feel like this is asking a lot, but it would have been nice to have some. But the one thing, and they introduced this way too late, but I love it, and I'm so pissed that it still does not exist on any other social network. By the way, I will pledge right now, any social network that is not just a creepy right-wing haven, if they will implement the ability to do what I refer to as channels, Google Plus, I forget what they called it, but they did finally implement this. Basically, the ability for you to say, I have this thing that I talk about right here, this one amorphous thing. I want to say stuff about this sometimes.
Yeah.
I also want to talk about this other thing sometimes.
Right.
Let people subscribe to just this thing, or just this thing, not both. Like, this is the problem with Twitter to me, because I feel like if you create your Twitter account, you get people following you, you're probably known for something, especially if you're a journalist, or especially if you're in the tech space.
Right.
Like, if MKBHD, just for example, and I don't know, maybe he actually does do this, I'm just guessing, but I'm thinking his Twitter account, like, if he doesn't post about tech stuff or maybe movies, people are probably gonna look at that and go like, dude, can you stay in your lane?
Right.
And I'm sure
even though,
he
like,
would,
it's my account, like, go away.
Yeah, exactly. It is his account. He's free to talk about whatever he wants, but maybe he wants to talk about, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't he into, it's not soccer, it's something else.
Isn't it like called Ultimate or something?
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, he's into Ultimate. And
yeah,
I don't know if he wants to talk about that on Twitter, but if he talks about it a lot on Twitter, dude, he would lose followers. His followers would start to revolt. And
I know he posts about it sometimes, and I only know this because Twitter is absolutely convinced I want to see his tweets or people replying to him.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I've told Twitter, like, I don't really care, like, you know, good for MKBHD. I don't really care.
Yeah, I have nothing against him, but I also don't need to follow him.
Twitter's just like, oh, you want to see some tweets related to him? No, I told you no already.
Well, and especially the replies, like people just mentioning him, or sometimes like pointless replies.
Like what Twitter does is, you know, they ruin the trends page.
God,
I long for the trends page of like 2012, where it just told you like the hashtags people were using. That was it. It didn't even know what a topic was, and it was always like Cat Monday or something fun like that, or like occasionally the really annoying Justin Bieber people would like hijack a trend or something, and that was it. That was all that was. But you know, now when I scroll down, I get the auto created categories of things I want to see is Minecraft, which I don't really play Minecraft a lot. I like Minecraft, but all these tweets are like about Minecraft YouTubers, of which I watch none. I get Minecraft again. I get 2 Minecrafts for some reason. Right,
Nice.
right on. I don't. And then there's MKBHD, which the first tweet in here is about someone tweeting with an NFT avatar, no less, about him, just tagging him in a tweet, and then like a list of people replying to his latest tweet, like the replies. I don't know what the original tweet was unless I tap on it. This is terrible. I hate this website, but yeah, like I that is a cool idea. That would be cool categories. I really want the circles, because like I used to have a Twitter account that was like a completely separate Twitter account that was just like 15 people I know that like I can talk about private stuff on, and I wouldn't need that if there were circles on Twitter. Yeah, like it had a lot of nice ideas. I think I like the general design of Google Plus. It was a lot cleaner to look at than like,
Yes.
especially Facebook. Old Facebook was terrible.
Oh god, it really was.
uh,
Though I don't think new
I'm
Facebook's that great either.
yeah, I barely use it, but like I think if I remember correctly, Google Plus for a while just didn't really have like a show everything in like chronological order. Like because it kind of had like multiple columns and kind of just put wherever it wanted to fill that screen space. So that was some point stock there, but like the rest was like pretty well organized. You know, nice features. It's just that there were a couple pain points, like you said, with like communities and text formatting and stuff that like really should have had more attention and it didn't. And then there's just the whole side issue of like they forced it on people who didn't care about it, and that kind of just insta killed it. Like anytime you do that, it just doesn't work out well.
It put a bad smell on it.
Yeah, and also one thing I really didn't like is that at least I want to say for at least the first year or two, maybe longer, they did the thing that like Facebook tries to do, where they're like every account is like a real person, and I hate that. I hate that so much. Because like you know, sometimes I just want to say stuff without like my full name attached, and it's not because like it has to be like offensive or something. It's just like I don't, you know, not everyone wants or needs their like face and full name associated with everything online.
Okay, I actually have kind of a full agreement, but on a conditional level with that. I think that there is a time and place and an ideal situation where you should 100,000% be able to go onto a social network and say, yeah, this particular person is who they say they are. They've been checked out. They're a real version of verified, not that bullshit Twitter does.
Right.
I want that. I want any social network to actually step up and do that. Twitter has not. Twitter is fucked up.
It should be
Google Plus.
It should be like an option.
Was on their way to doing it, but failed.
Yeah.
Facebook. Oh, forget Facebook. There's scammers running it themselves as major names today, and it's known. Like people know that there are people doing this, and Facebook does nothing about them.
Yeah. Yeah, like the verification thing, it should be like a thing that exists. It doesn't need to, not everyone needs to be a, you know, real person. But especially, you know, when people who, you know, like aren't like a white guy in America who can, you know, generally like say whatever they want and criticize their government, and I don't really have to worry about someone banging down my door and taking me somewhere because of that.
Yeah. The thing is, I definitely recognize and I believe, I agree, we have to have places that support being anonymous in at least some reasonable extent. Maybe not at the extent where law enforcement needs to get involved, but in the sense of anyone else from the outside looking in, people need to be able to remain at least semi-anonymous for the sake of being able to say things out loud, like government oppression or I don't know, whistleblowers inside of companies, or you know, the list could go on. And
anyone who is gay in like more than half of the world.
Sure, though I'm not always I don't know. That one to me feels like, why do you need to go onto a social network, have a lot of people listening so you can announce this, but you're not going to put your name on it? That one's always been confusing to me, because that just feels like you're taking risks for the sake of taking a risk. And I know part of it is the like telling people, hey, there are people in such and such place
Yeah,
that are
it's the
this.
it's the like, hey, there's more of us than you think, etc.
But you can also tell some of the people that is not what they're saying. Like, you can tell in the words and how they approach the subject that not everyone's saying it that way. Some people, I think they're just there to just for the risk. That's the only thing that makes sense to me with the way some people approach it. Anyway, not important. That's a tangent. But I think we need both. We need places where people can be pretty anonymous, and we also need places where people can really actually like attach this to their name and reputation and stand up for a position. Because I mean, you and I, there's no doubt we want to stand and make opinions about technology and how companies are behaving in the market and what's happening. And I don't know about you, but I like having my name attached to some of this. But I'd also be perfectly comfortable being able to go onto the internet and just blatantly going into a situation like, we'll say, political environment, and I don't want my name attached to stuff that I'm saying in there, mostly because I don't want crazy people in that exacting retribution.
Sometimes I just want to tell the Trump voters to fuck off, and I don't always need my work identity tied to that. But
exactly,
again, like I think Mastodon still probably does it the best I've seen, where it's like you verify a website and then that website has like some official tie to you that like anyone can verify. But it should be an option, but like Google Plus really forced it on everyone. And also there is the other element there where it's like, okay, so there's a social network that really only wants your real identity that is tied to the advertising company. It's like, I see where this is going.
I mean,
which I'm sure is why Facebook also has that same rule, because Facebook wants to be Google and everything, and they have their own advertising network that is now taking a huge hit thanks to Apple. Thanks, Apple. Really appreciate you. I do miss Google Plus sometimes. I also miss Google Buzz, which is what they had before, because it was like Twitter but better. Like it had like longer messages. If I remember, like the website was like kind of a little bit better, but like that was like when Twitter was like barely functional, so it didn't take a lot for it to be better. Like that was still in the. I don't know if Buzz ever lets you like attach images and stuff like that, but like definitely in that stage Twitter didn't let you. Like really basic stuff now.
This is so dumb, but the thing that makes me feel sad that I never got into Buzz, it actually stems, this is so dumb, I admit it, but there's someone that we both know, though I don't think you would know who I'm talking about just from this, but there's somebody we both know who was on Buzz and got verified on there. As a result of getting verified on there, all the people who were verified on there automatically got verified on Google Plus. Because of that, the same person also was able to get verified on Twitter.
Okay, so this is what you have to go through.
Yeah, the thing is,
the Twitter verification process, you have to go back in time 10 years and tell your past self to get verified on Buzz.
Yeah, the thing is, getting verified on Buzz was literally just ask them for it and they do it. You might have had to pay a couple bucks or something, but yeah, it was basically just like, here, anyone that wants can get verified on this platform. And it just, the transition across networks, like this person's now verified on everything that they've been on, and it's all because they got verified on Buzz a decade and something ago. Which just, it's one of those things like, come come on.
Yeah.
Like this person, at least at that point in history, had no reason to be verified on anything, but they just hop from one to another, and now they're set.
I also remember the original TweetDeck that was like an Adobe Air application.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it worked with Twitter and Google Buzz, so like you could have like your Buzz stuff right alongside like your columns for Twitter stuff, and it was excellent. And then that stopped existing, but yeah. But
The thing I think
yeah.
I would miss most about Google Plus was also, and this might sound weird, but I actually really liked the existence of their private communities, because I think they were designed better than Facebook. Obviously, Twitter doesn't even have that. Google, you could just, with Google Plus, like, you had more organization in the weirdest way. Like, it was a disorganized organization. Oh. would it be a RambleCast stream if I don't accidentally trigger that at least once?
No. But yeah, so yeah, maybe it's a little bit of like rose tinted glasses here, but I do kind of miss Google Plus sometimes. I wish it was, you know, I wish they fixed the weird like community issues with it. I wish they didn't like tie it to personal identities from the start. I think that probably hurt it. Also, I think I want to say doing the whole like invite system hurt it, because but I don't know, because that also like it made a lot of people talk about it initially, and it seemed to have worked for like Clubhouse as a more recent example, basically until everyone copied its features, and then there was no reason for Clubhouse to exist. Like the whole like, or about like, oh, you got to get a, you know, Google Plus invite, which, you know, happened to Gmail a decade prior. But yeah, I don't. Again, like it's the classic tale of like Google does a thing 80% well, and the last 20% they do the same things wrong every time.
Oh, I think Google is a really innovative company. They keep finding new ways to screw it up each time. Granted, sometimes it looks the same, but man, they're really, really good at finding creative new ways to screw it up too.
Honestly, part of this is why I feel like a lot of things are not as integrated into like YouTube as Google could do. Like I think they just have like permanent like never do vertical integration with YouTube ever again like phobia. Like if I think about like how great Google, again, like this is like super anti-competitive, so I'm not saying they should do this, but like I'm kind of surprised there hasn't been more like little like blocks below every video for a video game that says like click here to open it on Stadia right now, like that kind of thing.
I mean, technically they do have support for that. It's just there aren't enough people on Stadia that are active streamers pushing.
Well, I just mean like any video about a game they have on Stadia.
Oh, sure.
Like it could be like a let's play, but yeah.
But I mean, they're right on the fringe of being able to do that, but they just won't now.
Yeah, they won't. I think partially because of this of Google Plus, and I think partially because it's like maybe slightly anti-competitive, but I don't know. They get away with like doing like shopping links under YouTube videos now, so it might be okay. But
I don't see that as anti-competitive. I mean, yes, it's something where it might not be completely even ground or fair, but
yeah. Well, yeah, it's like in the same spot as like whenever Google does like they do this a lot where they have like a couple lines of text for some new product under the search bar on google.com. And that's like famously like the best advertising place on the internet just because of how many people see it.
Yeah.
But there it's like not intrusive at all, so no one cares. But and half the time it's usually like something about like the current holiday. It's like, well, you're gonna get mad Google celebrating like Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Enough people do.
But yeah, yeah, I'm kind of surprised no one's like tried to clone this UI or like this way of organizing stuff. But I guess I shouldn't be surprised because usually all the alternative social networks that show up, they're just like the lowest effort possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, especially all the far right ones. They just clone Mastodon and that's it. That's all they do.
Oh, that's
It's that Scooby Doo meme of like them pulling the mask over the head. It's like, oh, it's you again. It's forked Mastodon. Again.
That's not fair. There was the one that was a fork of WordPress that somehow was treated like a social network with one member. There was let's see, there have been several that are technically actual clones of Twitter as opposed to Mastodon. I know that that's splitting hairs, but it's happened. And and then there's that one far right network where the owner's a robot and sold a bunch of user data to Cambridge Analytica. Hey, look at that, casually implying Facebook's far right.
That month where like Gap switched to that, where I was talking about a different thing, but like that month when Gab switched to Mastodon, that was the funniest shit to watch in real time. Because like obviously, like, here's the thing: if I was a far right crazy person and I needed to spin up a social network and I saw that someone else was doing that, I could just use that code. I would 100% do that. So I get why Gab like switched to using like Mastodon as a code base, because it does seem to be like the best starting point for like a social network. But like one of the big things they played up was like, because it's Mastodon and because all these Mastodon servers use the same protocol to talk to each other, like email, like when you send an email to someone on a different email server, and they're all like, oh, it's decentralized, you can talk to anyone on any other server. As soon as they said they're switching to Mastodon, like every single big Mastodon instance did like an IP block on Gab. Like you cannot talk to people on Gab. People on Gab cannot talk to you. We're building this wall immediately, and like everyone did that in the course of a week, to the point where even though Gab was like they call it federated when they like flip the switch that lets them talk to other places, even though they were federated, there was like no big places they could talk to. It was just all the like smaller servers where like I guess the admins didn't get around to it, or the ones that were basically like Gab already.
Yeah,
basically. So that was really funny, and it was even funnier when Trump spun up his social network, and again it was forked Gab that they didn't say anywhere, and then also got a lot of investor money because I guess the investors didn't know it was Gab.
None of
or Mastodon.
I mean, name an investor that ever knows anything about what they're investing in.
I know. I should really move to Silicon Valley, Cody. I've got a great idea that I've not fleshed out at all or know how to maintain, but apparently you can just get money for that anyway.
Okay, so I just have 3 syllables for you. Will.i.am.
Yeah.
The dude apparently has too much money and he can't wait to give it to really stupid shit.
I've got stupid shit, Cody. I've got a lot of it.
So does he. But oh god, that guy. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, so really quick, if you'll stay on me for about another, let's say, half hour, I think that's when I'm going to cut it because I'm...
No, the place I need to drop off the stuff I think closes at 8 and it's 7:32 here. And I also I'm really hungry. I kind of want to get food.
You slacker.
I'm sorry. Well, if we hadn't talked about Google Plus for far longer than anyone ever needs to talk about Google Plus, well, that was, you know, that's on you. That's not on me. You didn't stop me.
I didn't stop you.
No.
Said, oh wow, I was about to make a reference and it's like, no, that's definitely not a thing to say. But yeah, anyway, no, I get it. I have to do things here and there too. But yeah, my issue is I spent too much time last night preparing posts for today that turned out not to get posted for one dumb reason or another. So yeah, I've had I think at this point in the last 24 hours, I would be circling right about 4 hours of sleep. So yeah, I'm approaching that point where I know I'm about to hit the wall.
Oh yeah. And anytime I do an all-nighter, which thankfully has not happened in months. No one's telling me to do an all-nighter. It just my body's like, you're not going to sleep tonight, buddy. Which hasn't happened since I started taking melatonin, so that's cool. But anyway, when I wasn't, there's like a nice block of oh wow, I don't need sleep, from 2 a.m. to 5, and then it hits here. Oh, my body's shutting down.
Yep.
And then there's another wave, and then okay, we're done again. But yeah. Anyway, so yes, I'm gonna go now. But
all right, I understand.
Yes, and not this weekend, but next weekend, you will record a Tag Tales with me, hopefully.
That seems to be the plan, and
yes.
I hope that that's actually the plan that will play out. Which you still haven't told me the topic. Is that on purpose, or you just haven't told me the topic? And is it possible you mentioned the topic in the email that I just haven't looked at?
Oh, I forgot to send the invite.
Oh, well,
but I'll you'll know when it lands in there. But, yeah.
Okay.
It's not anything spicy. I just don't like talking about them before they're public available.
Because if they don't end up happening,
right? Or I just don't like the people asking for ETAs. Not that the people, lovely streamer watchers here, not streamers, people watching are annoying, but yeah.
you had to dance to get back to that one, but
yeah, I was trying to say like people in general have had to ask for ETAs, but not with this stuff.
All you streamers are annoying. Oh wait, but you guys aren't streamers. Oh wait, but you're not annoying. Oh wait, but you haven't been asking for ETAs anyway, so I'm not sure why I said this.
Brain shutting down. Yes.
It happens. But yeah. Anyway,
I'm leaving now.
So take it easy,
Goodbye.
dude. I will see you probably next week, and then for the weekend, I think. Something like that.
Okay. Bye, everyone who's saying bye in the chat. Goodbye.
All right. Anyway, so I was watching comments. There just haven't been too many. Austin, you mentioned that removing all your friends from social media was the best thing you've ever done. I'm curious actually what that means. Are you saying that you got all of your friends to stop using, let's say, Facebook and Twitter and whatever else, or you had friends on those accounts and then you just removed them from your account, at which point all you're doing is following internet personalities and stuff like that? Because both of those could be the meaning of what you said, but I feel like one of those is overall the better thing for the world, and one of them is just the better thing for your sanity. But yeah, anyway, you turned your social media stuff into news feeds. Yeah. No, I mostly agree. For me, like Twitter, I really like, there are a few people I follow on Twitter kind of out of obligation, I guess. And not that that's what I'm saying right now, but as a quick follow-up, I realized earlier, after we talked about it, I actually do follow MKBHD now. I forgot that I did that, but I followed him like 3 or 4 months ago. And I'm not against him. I keep saying this. It's just so easy to use him as a reference point, because he's still making stuff where I only really want to see like 1 out of every 30 or 40 of his videos. And chances are I'll be told about it anyway, so I don't sub him on YouTube. My YouTube subscription list is already a disaster. Anyway, David, did I talk about the S22 yet? We did talk about it, but kind of actually trailed off in other directions very quickly and several times. The thing is, and I don't want to try to speak for Corbin on this, though I think I kind of did a little bit earlier. The thing is, honestly, like, if we're just kind of calling it out, the S22, it's a phone that didn't really bring anything new and exciting. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a good phone, and I kind of want to compare it in that way to sort of Apple doing the TikTok routine with the iPhone. Like, 1 year they add a whole bunch of really, really neat stuff, and then the next year they make it not suck. That kind of routine. I could kind of see the S22 being respected as that sort of a iteration. It made everything that they did with the S21 good. And I don't know if that's really a fair way to say it, and that's making a lot of assumptions that I can't really make about a device that doesn't have reviews out, or even a lot of talk internally at AP. Like, people aren't really discussing the phone that much, in the sense of, like, how good is it actually, the people who have it. But, you know, I think at this stage, it's a safe bet. It's going to be all of the S22s are going to be really good phones. It's just a question of what things will they inevitably have that are going to irritate people. Because every phone has stuff that irritates somebody. So yeah, anyway, I have a funny feeling that it's a refinement of a refinement. Yeah, exactly. You know, they didn't try to do any big experiments with it, which is good. Doing a ton of experimentation on a phone is a good thing. I've said this in the past. I love when I see, or loved, past tense, when I saw LG. LG used to do really crazy stuff with its phones. That's fantastic. I want that. I want to see companies doing things. But at the same time, I also appreciate when a company's like, yeah, no, we're pretty sure we solved this list of like 300 problems in this particular device. We're going to do those 300 things right again, and maybe even try to solve them a little bit better this time. But we're not going to do it in crazy, screwed up ways. I appreciate that. I like that. I want companies to get their routine right. So cheers to that. That being said, and I said this also earlier on stream, the thing that excited me most about that presentation wasn't even the phone or the tablet, both of which obviously made up the lion's share of that presentation, but it was the announcement of a video editor I already knew was coming is actually getting close to being released. Mostly, and I don't even know if it's because it's a video editor. But I'm happy to see something that's presumably a really well-made product, and we don't even know that yet, but it's well made on iOS, and it seems like the company's putting the effort in to do it well here. But it's something that needed to happen on Android, and it looks like it is. Yeah, LumaFusion. There's been so much talk about that. It's funny because for something that was, it wasn't a throwaway comment, but for something that didn't get a lot of attention normally, and during the presentation, like, it was only mentioned for, I think, like a minute combined. A minute. Like, for as little attention as it got after that presentation, so many people have talked about LumaFusion. It's really clear that that company, when they actually do launch, and it's almost certainly going to be a timed launch, or timed exclusive with the Galaxy Store. When that launches on there, I think they're going to make a crap load of money. And then when it eventually launches on the Play Store, they're going to make another crap load of money. I think that's one of the few companies that is going to do crazy big numbers. Carson, so yeah, I get what you're saying with that. That date's wrong. I mean, legitimately, that's actually wrong. October 27th is when they started asking for beta testers, but it was actually known before that LumaFusion was going to hit Android. I don't remember exactly how long before that, but I think it was sometime in either late 2020 or early 2021. They were actually acknowledging that they were building a version for Android. It wasn't like a big loud, hey everyone, this is coming. It was more of a, like, they confirmed when people asked sort of thing. But yeah, they definitely said it was happening. It's just 9 to 5 didn't discover it until there was talk about them accepting a beta, or accepting people into a beta program. And so they posted it. Other people did too. It was a thing. But yeah, the reason I know this is because I've known about it since early last year. I actually talked about it on a stream before they ever announced their beta stuff, but it didn't, like, I didn't think to make much of a big deal out of it at the time. But yeah, anyway, I think that's one of the bigger things to come out of this is Samsung is reaffirming that this is coming. They've now basically confirmed where it's going to be, which I'm less happy about. I don't want it coming out on Samsung's exclusive store. I want it coming out on the Play Store, but it is what it is. I don't have an Android tablet to run it on anyway, so that doesn't really matter a whole lot. And honestly, video editors on a phone, kind of a terrible experience. It's something you can do, but it just sucks, and you shouldn't try to do it. Though who knows, maybe LumaFusion will be the exception to that. But either way, I am optimistic about this coming out. Also, notoriously, they're making sure it will run on Chromebooks. I'm eager to see what that turns out to be. Who knows? Maybe, just maybe, someone will convince me to try a Chromebook. No one's gonna convince me to try a Chromebook. Anyway, let's see. Was there anything else? Oh, and David, the other thing that we discussed was basically how crazy Samsung's deals are, which this year actually their trade-in deals directly with Samsung are pretty mediocre, but like the arrangements that they have with the carriers is awesome. So I haven't formally decided, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be getting an S22, maybe an S22 Ultra instead. It's uncertain, but I mean, the deal is so good, it's basically insane to pass it up. So, Cody, a hater. Hey, some things deserve to be hated. I'm not sure what this is in reference to at this point. But anyway, Am I gonna write XDA now? Not sure what that means. 4? I don't see why. Is it, are you talking about the acquisition? Which, funny enough, I like how you guys wait for Corbin to take off before assuming that's what you're asking. You wait for Corbin to take off before asking it. Anyway, no, I'm not making any plans to go work at XDA. What was I? Damn it. There's something I was just about to bring up, and I just totally spaced it. But, yeah, like I said, I'm hit... The hell fell down? Oh, no. How did that? Oh, I see. Okay. That's fine. Something tipped over and made some noise. Turns out it was just sitting awkwardly on top of something. Probably got set that way when I was moving some stuff around. Balnet police coming. Yikes. No, so I'm not gonna say a lot. I'm not sure how much I'm supposed to say about this. Not that you guys think I care at all. Not that I care that much about it, but yeah, I'm not gonna say a whole lot, but I will say this, just because I'm sure some people are concerned, and well, I think all of you guys have already heard this. XDA is gonna remain a lot more independent than AP did, and XDA is not switching over to the same CMS that AP is using. So all of the stupid crap that has happened to AP thus far, you don't have to worry about that happening to XDA. Not to say it won't eventually happen. There's obviously room for that to change in the future. But at least for the moment, XDA is going to be kind of staying its own thing and behaving its own way. So probably not anything to worry too much about if you like the way XDA is today. Okay. Anyway, and reason enough to go right for XDA. Okay, you're not wrong. But yeah, I still don't really have any particular interest in hopping over to XDA. Not unless, like, if they gave me some crazy offer, maybe. But I doubt that's gonna happen. But it would be really funny if one Valnet property found itself negotiating against a different Valnet property to try to get somebody. That would be hilarious. Honestly, it would actually be truly hilarious. I now kind of almost want to make that happen. Like go to the boss of one side and say, hey, this other side's offering me this, and they're like, but dude, that's us. And I'm like, yeah, but don't you want to be the one who's got me? Oh, that'd be rich. Yeah, anyway, so no, it's, at least at this stage, I wouldn't put too much thought into it. Fix that lighting a little bit. So yeah, no, I don't think there's a ton of likelihood I'll be swapping over to XDA anytime soon. Let's see, what else? Trying to think. Oh, Android 12 happened. You know, there's so little to say about Android 12. I think the biggest thing actually, because if you read through the features, if you read through the changes, look, there's nothing happened. Basically nothing at all. The biggest thing seems to be actually not necessarily in Android 13. Did I say 12 earlier? But the biggest thing I don't think was a 13 update per se, but rather what's coming down the pipe, which is Material U is basically going to be enforced everywhere. With Android 13, they're going to make it apply to, or opt in to apply to app icons. Something that there is some debate about whether or not that's actually a feature that's active now. I'm pretty sure it is active. Certain other people are convinced it's not, and I'm pretty sure they're wrong. But yeah, the app icons are going to basically be this weird, not wonderful decision for styling. Let's kind of get those framed up. Yeah, this. So in the themed icons bit, what you're basically getting is, if you're in light mode, or rather between light and dark mode, depending on circumstances, or rather how the colors contrast, you'll either get the background of the app icon showing in the theme color, or if you're in the opposing mode, probably the dark mode, then the highlight color becomes the shape of the icon as opposed to the background of the icon. Anyway, two-tone icons. Here's the thing. I feel like this is not a good implementation. It obviously has at least one big flaw right now, which is only Google apps show up like this. None of the other stuff does. Not unless it already supports the API, or not. It's not even really an API, but not unless it supports doing separate icons. And I don't know. I'm just looking at this and I can't help but think this just takes away so much of a method for distinguishing between icons. You're making them look all the same and it's ugly. I mean, it's not ugly, but it's more like it sucks for usability. It sucks for making it easier to parse visually. So yeah, I'm not loving this. It's not going to be it's not how I'm going to run my home screen. Pretty certain of that. So yeah, anyway, this is part of what's happened. See, I'm already blanking. My brain is just quickly going downhill. Let's see. Again, Material U is going to be required for phones. That's starting in about a month and a half. Well, yeah, about a month and a half. It's late. It's going to be late March when it does. So yeah, you guys know, I don't exactly like the Material U look. I'm kind of hoping that doesn't last super long. Oh, okay. Sorry, that was a must. That was the thing I had to do. Okay, so brain. What else was there? Let's see. I don't know. If there's something else, if there's a topic that's a must hit, let me know. Otherwise, we'll talk over really quick what's kind of the plan. First of all, for this weekend, real hit and miss, but probably more on the miss for doing streams. I need to get a drone review done, so I'm probably going to be out during daylight for a lot of it, and that sort of makes it hard to get back here in time to do streams. It will depend on a few things, but yeah, I have a feeling I'm probably going to go out and just focus on doing drone stuff for this weekend. I will also be working on at least one other project at the same time. Possibly, actually, 2 other projects, but we'll see. However, if the weather sucks, and I guess I could look, I don't think it's going, well, I don't think it's great weather, but yeah, it looks like weather's actually, wow. Actually, weather looks really, I like the weather I'm seeing for Saturday and Sunday. Sunday, it has some clouds. That's maybe not ideal, but Saturday, 60, high 60s both days. I can work with that. I'm down for that. Let's see. Oh, okay. Sorry, just reading the last 2 comments. So yeah, I don't know for sure, but if I do stream, there's a chance that I would do either video edits, or I would do, what's the other possibility? If I don't do video edits, it would probably be playing Control. I need to get back to playing Control. I am looking forward to it. I like the game. It's got a few oddball elements, but I like it. I'm down to go back to playing. Last week in Texas, it was 20 degrees, and this week it's been 70 degrees. Jeez. I hate February, dude. Seriously. February is the worst month. Aside from just being historically a dubious month for people, whether they're single or couples or whatever, and of course for the fact that it is just the shortest month of the year, February also has this brutal, absolutely one of the worst habits around here for being the snowy month. Now, so far, I'm feeling pretty good about it being this month, or this year, I guess, because, man, we're hitting the upper 60s on some days. Granted, we also are hitting the mid 40s as a high some days, and we're still getting down to the low 40s, upper 30s. But as long as we don't get snow and ice, I'm not complaining. Like, I'm pretty happy as long as we don't get snow and ice. That being said, I'm also so afraid I'm jinxing it by even suggesting that there might not be snow. But the thing is, at least where I live, if you don't get snow by the end of February, you're done. You're free and clear until winter. Until winter comes back around again, you are not going to see snow. You're not going to see ice. It is, from that point forward, spring. I'm hoping that that's how it's going to be this year, because no snow. I'm done with it. I'm done with it. I've retired snow. Also, it would get in the way of doing so much review work. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, this weekend, very low chance of streams. If I'm gonna do them, I'll try to give you guys a heads up, but yeah, in all likelihood, probably not gonna be doing it. Next week, of course, RambleCast. You guys know that routine. If you're paying attention, you also heard Corbin and I talking. I'll be recording a new Tech Tales episode, not this weekend, but next. So his lead time is typically only like 2 or 3 days between recording and releasing. Sometimes more, but it's usually pretty quick. So that'll be happening. If things go as planned, and we'll see about this, if things go as planned, I might be pushing my first YouTube videos fairly soon. This is one of those things you should never ever talk about before doing it, but I'm just saying. Hopefully that'll be part of the plan. But we'll see. Let's see what else is going on. Anyway, somewhere in the next few days, you will be seeing the microphone review that I've been trying to get done for not that long actually, but long enough. Spit take, come on now, come on. But yeah, anyway, the microphone review should be going up probably, I don't know, 2-3 days from now. Probably over the weekend, possibly on Monday. Something like that. Though to be fair, you never know. It could be much longer. Hopefully, drone review will be probably about a week and a half from now. And then, if things do not go completely wrong, I will also have a gimbal, actually a dual gimbal review happening in a few weeks. Something like that. Yeah, it's a lineup of a bunch of stuff. It's all hopefully happening really quickly. But we'll see. Anyway, yeah, no topics have been brought up. I think it is safe to say I'm good to end here because I don't have the energy for too much more. So, thank you, everyone, for coming by, hanging out, being part of the conversation. I hope to see you fairly soon. Let's see. MoviePass is officially coming back. Are you kidding me? Carson. The time without the firm that ran it into the ground. Or this time without the firm that ran it into the ground. Yeah, I don't think that was a problem, but okay. 2 years after the wildly popular subscription service MoviePass crashed and burned, its co-founder Stacy Spikes is determined to bring it back. Spikes says MoviePass will return this summer. The company, recently bought by Spikes after his unceremonious ouster from MoviePass in 2018, held its launch event today at the Walter Reed Theater Lincoln Center in NYC. Spikes began by wasting absolutely no time addressing the Helios and Matheson Analytics-shaped elephant in the room. The firm is now infamous for being the parent company of MoviePass that managed to blow the entire thing up shortly after the firm bought the startup, which became famous for offering unlimited movie tickets for a monthly fee. A lot of people lost money. A lot of people lost trust, Spikes said, claiming he was among those who were hurt by the company's mismanagement. During the opening moments of the event, Spikes oscillated between addressing the disappointment of being pushed out of his company, joking about MoviePass's loyal consumers, as well as its power users, who Spikes cracked are the reason the company went out of business. And finally, the process of snapping the company back after... Snapping it back after its parent company went bankrupt in 2020. Oh, goody. And he thinks that a shot of... That's the Hindenburg, right? A shot of the Hindenburg burning is a classy way to... Yeah, wrong call, dude. But okay. Quote, "We're looking at this from another point of view," Spikes said at the company's relaunch, adding that he now plans to run the business like a co-op. Spikes added that MoviePass users will be able to hold partial ownership of the company with its most premium tier inclusive of a lifetime subscription. The event was at times a little bizarre, with muted clapping audible when Spikes paused to make sure his jokes and proposals were landing with the live attendees. Spikes sounded at times more like he was delivering an enthusiastic TED Talk about theatrical releases than a product launch. He hyped the relaunch under his new vision, which he says will be powered by Web3 technology. Fuck you, dude. No! No! Dummy! Sorry if that was too loud. I don't know. that wasn't intended to be loud, but sorry. Web3. What? Okay, so MoviePass. Oh my god, I know what this means. So, okay. Number one, if this is, quote, powered by Web3 technology, what that really means is he wants to power it with crypto, which what that really means is they're going to run this as a pump and dump scam, just like it'll be a pump and dump scam, but it'll probably be kind of a reverse of that, where what they're going to do is try to get everyone to loyally invest, you know, sort of buy the dip, but buying something that is not even dipped yet. Like, they're just going to put it out there and say, no, you have to buy it to make it successful. And then by buying it to make it successful, people are going to sink a ton into it, and then the company will magically fail out of existence yet again and make it a rug pull. By the way, I've actually been using all these correct terminology, and holy crap, it's a scam. This guy was like, no, I have this thing, it's doomed to fail, just in the same way that oh my god, what was the name of the company that not, was it AMC Theaters? No, it wasn't. Whatever, damn it, I'm so blanking on the name of it, but whatever company suddenly became like overvalued on Wall Street, and then suddenly, like, that was the infamous screw up the Wall Street gig. It was a meme stock. That's what he's trying to do. This is a combination of meme stock and a rug pull. Oh my god, this guy, what the fuck? Okay, so moviegoing is not going anywhere. Cinema is not going anywhere, Spike said. The company's original engineering team is returning for the business's relaunch. What, they couldn't get jobs elsewhere? And the service will launch this summer. Under the new model, MoviePass will run on tradable credits that roll over month to month. Subscribers will also be able to use their credits to bring a friend, a markedly different approach from the single-user card system that MoviePass used previously, which could prove annoying for non-card holders. Okay. MoviePass 2.0 will also work on a tiered system, Spike said. Spike shared images of a beta version of the new app and the the credit-based system, which will vary based on things like peak moviegoing hours. MoviePass's ambitions for subscribers are charitably ambitious. Oh, sorry, that I read that in the wrong cadence. They are charitably ambitious. Spikes wants to claim 30% of the moviegoer market by 2030. MoviePass moonshoot goal. Carson, you're right. Needed one more topic because holy crap, why not end on the stupidest thing? Don't get me wrong, I honestly think there is value to MoviePass's concept. I mean, what they're doing is no different than those services that go to restaurants and basically take the food that they can no longer sell, but is still safe for consumption, and then they sell it to people at a stupid discount. That makes sense. It's actually a really good business model. This is something you can get away with doing. And honestly, it works a million times better with theaters, because theaters basically exist in the same spaces like internet service. Look, if you have an internet connection that moves data at, let's say, 70 petabytes a second, which is, I think, stupid, but hypothetical. Let's say you can move 70 petabytes a second. If all you're doing is selling 1 petabyte a second worth of usage, you got a huge space that you're just not making money on. So yeah, MoviePass actually makes a lot of sense. But man, they're gonna screw this up. Anyway, somewhat unsurprisingly, MoviePass will incorporate aspects of Spike's existing business pre-show, a technology that has been used to allow gamers to trade ad views for in-game currency. Oh man, I'm hating this more and more. This sort of format for moviegoing was previously teased by Spikes to Insider. The way the pre-show works is that you have to actually view the ad. It tracks whether your attention is trained on your phone. Once users complete the pre-show, they'll be awarded credits that can be used to buy tickets through the MoviePass platform. Some part of me is just imagining there's someone out there who's training. Like, they're creating some thing where you just hold your phone up to a computer screen or something and it just fakes eye movement. Anyway, Spikes told attendees at the event that MoviePass's most loyal fans will be, quote, deputized to beta users and will be able to use the experience for its first year for free. At some point during the summer, these users will be contacted about the beta programming. Okay, so overpromising. This is now part of it too. Launched in 2011 with a small team of developers, and okay, I don't care about the history. Spikes was fired. Of course, yeah, everyone complained about the payment structure. Eventually got shut down. Blah blah blah. He added, "We believe if done properly, theatrical subscription can play an instrumental role in lifting moviegoing attendance to new heights." Spikes seemed to shrug off existing subscriptions launched by individual theater chains, instead suggesting that MoviePass would offer more options and more flexibility than single exhibitors could. Since MoviePass folded, plenty of theaters have launched their own power user subscription models that will compete directly with a now late to the party MoviePass. MoviePass will also have to convince these exhibitors to sign on, something they were initially prickly about in a pre-pandemic market. Yes, I'm doing my worst Shatner, because why not? A lot has changed for movie theaters since MoviePass shut down in 2019, and a lot will have to change for MoviePass too if it wants the second run to have a better ending. I suddenly want to see if I could do some Nicolas Cage, but I need to practice on that before I try. Yeah. By the way, yes, I am tired. I'm not tired enough that I'm actually going loopy, but it's kind of fun to go down that road. Anyway, yeah. So what the total? Oh my god. 2022, you're turning out to be just like 2020. What the hell are you doing? Stop trying to make things worse. No, actually no, this is great. Please, I want this to happen because we need good old-fashioned multiple failure stories. I just can't see any future where this does not explode spectacularly. There are going to be so many people. Like, this is going to be... How do I describe this? This is going to be like Fire Festival, where anyone who looked at it and kind of like actually thought about it, anyone that did kind of looked at it and said, yeah, no, there are problems here. We see there are problems here. We recognize, we're smart enough to know that there are problems here. Maybe, just maybe, it shouldn't happen. Or maybe someone should look into it before a bunch of people go out to an island and have a have a week-long or weekend-long, whatever, bacchanalia in a place that actually might not really be equipped for it. Those people who said those things, they were very, very right. They called it. They said smart and intelligent things. And I feel like anyone who's predicting a very poor ending for MoviePass that happens to involve a whole bunch of people effectively sinking into a dumb form of another crypto scam. Yeah, I do not see this going well. Okay, that yawn was real. Oh my god. Spikes, you silly bastard. You're gonna make this so easy for the internet to just dunk. Michael Jordan could not dunk as well as the internet is going to dunk on you, sir. Thank you for trying. It's good that people need a good laugh in 2022. We need things silly and ridiculous and truly hopeless, because weirdly that gives us hope. Anyway, so this time for real I should go. So as usual, you'll see some movie post goodness come tomorrow. Cody with a rare basketball reference. Wait, which was the basketball reference? What part did I just say that I actually completely already forgot? I have a feeling I actually know what the basketball reference is, but I actually have already forgotten what I said that would have been the likely reference. Though it's also possible that I only know the thing, but not actually that it references basketball. Oh, Michael Jordan dunking. Okay. Honestly, that almost doesn't feel like a basketball reference. I mean, obviously it is, but when I think of Jordan, I feel like that's one of the things that transcends his sport. Jordan was such a famous figure and celebrity. Oh, for a second I thought that was someone else. I just saw Corbin comment that he wanted to do a Tech Tales on MoviePass, and for some reason I thought, oh, did Carson go in there and suggest the Tech Tales on MoviePass? But yeah. But now Corbin has to wait for it to die again. I think a Tech Tales on MoviePass would be epic. Dude, I don't know if you're listening. I kind of doubt you are. But if you happen to be listening, I'm just saying, do that. Like, do it specifically lined up so that a Tech Tales comes out right about the same time that the new movie pass is set to launch. I think people would actually, like, not the exact same day or anything, but like a week ahead. Because I think a whole lot of people would probably get some amusement listening to an actual story like that. If you're not listening, then I'm going to type it up in just a minute as soon as I end the stream and say the exact same thing. But yeah, anyway, so with that, I'm going to go. Because if I don't do it now, I'm sure at some point fairly soon it's going to get ugly and I'm going to say stupid things, and you know the routine. Hey, I went further than I thought I would. So anyway, thank you all for coming by. Thanks for being here, being part of the conversation, chatting with me, keeping me rambling. I hope you have an excellent rest of your week. You'll see a movie post update coming out tomorrow as usual, and I hope there's actually something good in it, because last week it sucked. It's like one maybe okay movie. But yeah, so let's see. Again, this weekend probably no streams. We'll see. It's so hard to predict this. Especially if I just have no energy or no desire to go anywhere. And yeah, anyway, with that, thank you all. I will see you in the next one. Good night, everybody.